We are joined now by the Spec Miata podium at the 50th SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Of course, right off the bat, we started this with a record field of, I believe, 69 cars took the green flag, which beats the old mark of 60 Spec Miatas in 2010. So first of all, guys, congratulations on just surviving that and then making it up here on the podium. Joined by our winner, the first person to win 2 Spec Miata championships in the 8-year history of the class, and he's done it back-to-back now, Jim Drago. Second place, Voytek Burdzy, who started 10th and worked his way through, and Danny Steyn, who really worked his way through from 26th to 3rd on the podium today. Congratulations, guys, and I want to start with Danny. Though frankly, I'm not sure where to start. Why don't you take us through getting to the lead pack, and then we'll talk about the finish a little bit.
Well, thank you very much. Is this working? You're getting the feed?
Yep.
Good. This is an event this whole week where it has to go right from the beginning. And unfortunately, on that very cold day on Tuesday, I lost a gear on the second lap of qualifying and ended up in 42nd place. And of course, thereafter, the weather never cooperated, and the best I could do was move up into 26th place. To get to the podium from 26 is not something that I was expecting, not even dreaming of. But the race was very aggressive. A lot of people were making very significant moves, trying to make up track position, because I think a lot of people feared a lot of laps would be done under yellow. And as that kept on happening in front of me, I kept on moving up as people would be bumped and knocked. And slowly but surely, I got closer and closer to the front, and eventually challenging on the very last lap for the podium. And I just want to make a shout out to Elvan Goulart, who, coming out of Canada corner, ran wide, didn't have the run. He came right over to me, but he still gave me room on the outside of turn 13, allowed me to have the inside line to turn 14, and we had a race all the way. And he gave me room, and it's a true credit to a previous champion. I'd like to thank him for that. But also congratulations to Jim Drago here for SEC for repeating this, and to Voytek. Voytek and I have had our differences on the track over the years, but I have nothing but admiration for the way he drives, and feel a real privilege to be sharing it here with the 2 other gentlemen on the stage. Thank you very much to Mazda, to Hoosier, OPM Motorsports, Rossini Racing Engines, TrackMate, and all the people that sponsored me, but especially to my wife, Kim, who puts up with this week after week, year after year, and never complains. So, Kim, I love you, and thank you so much for everything.
Danny, you made up a lot of those positions really early. By the restart, which came, the yellow came out on lap 2, I believe. You were already in 10th. Just talk about, did you make those on the start? Did you rocket past a couple of people? Was it a combination of both? How did you start that move?
After all the bad luck of the beginning of the week, I just was very fortunate. The right-hand side of the track on the start moved so much faster than the left-hand side, and I was on the right side, and we must have passed, in single file, 8 people before we got to turn 1. And then a few more, and the next thing, I couldn't believe it, after the lap 1, I was in 10th place. But a lot of that happened into turn 1 just because the left-hand side was slow off the mark, and it's just the luck of the draw, nothing to do with me.
Well, congratulations on the podium. It's Danny's first podium, I believe. His best finish at the runoffs prior to this was 5th a couple of times. So congratulations and welcome up here. I know you've had a long, successful season where you've been in the car a lot. Through the majors program, you ran a lot of races, and I believe that's probably more than you've run in the past. Would you say just the seat time in general has helped move you up a couple of spots and racing against these guys through the year?
Absolutely. There's nothing better than seat time behind the wheel of a car. No amount of iRacing or simulator practice or data study is going to compensate. Unfortunate thing is that race weekends are expensive, but I think we did 17 race weekends this year, including this one. But obviously it's paid dividends. We won the majors title, the Eastern Conference. We were a contender the whole time, and really should have been a contender to start near the front for this race. It was just a bad set of circumstances that knocked us back to 26. But yes, seat time, track time, there is no substitute.
Well, congratulations again. Our runner-up today, Voytek Burdzy from Algonquin, Illinois, in the number 41 Advanced Autosports Miata. And Voytek, we talked about the aggressiveness that was taken, and I feel like watching this that you almost took the opposite approach, that it was pretty methodical. I'm sure it was a little bit aggressive in the car just based on the way the race was, but you didn't get in a big hurry. There wasn't a moment where all of a sudden you had gone by 6 cars at once. It was just one at a time as the situation arose. Is that fairly accurate?
Pretty much. It was halfway through the race. It was getting a little frustrated for me because I thought I should have been maybe a little further out, but then again, I knew that my grip level was just coming in and it was going to be good to the end. So I just patiently sit there and let the chaos happen around me. And fortunately, not a single contact with anybody, and just took opportunities after opportunities and made some aggressive passes myself, but clean and true to the fact that this was one of the most action-packed races I've seen in my 5-year racing cars. So
that last lap, take us through that a little bit. By the time we got to corner 14, you were going to need some help coming up the back, and I don't think anybody was close enough to push you. That looked like about the only way that was going to happen. Did you have some opportunities early into that? Did Jim just drive a perfect last lap to get away, or how did that kind of shake out?
Well, it's like a lap earlier when Jim and Stern had contact into 5, and I just make clear, and at this time I'm in the lead, but then Dave Wheeler on the radio tells me this is going to be one more lap, this is not the last one. And I knew if they, and of course everybody behind me decided at that moment to stop fighting, and just so I got drafted by 3 cars, I believe, into 1, and that was the last lap. But so
it's not enough to get there. A lot of people, I'm sure, that you need to thank for your runner-up finish today.
For me, it's simple. It's all Advanced Auto Sports, which I've been driving with since my first race 5 years ago. And they are pretty much responsible for the good car and strong equipment. Although we had motor issues, I was only here on Tuesday and qualify on Tuesday, but the motor had some problems. So Chris Alderman was generous enough to let me borrow his backup motor, and it worked out pretty good. And of course, my wife, who couldn't be here this weekend, so she was watching home.
Well, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Jim Drago, back-to-back Spec Miata champion in the number 2 East Street Racing Mazda Miata. Your second national championship, Jim. Just tell us how you feel right now, besides probably exhausted after that battle out there.
I think we're all, is that working?
Yep.
I think we're all a little bit mentally exhausted. It was just a crazy race. My car was really good. I made a terrible mistake that I don't think I've made in my whole life racing. On the first lap, I was relaxed. I actually pulled a little gap coming out of 3, and I went 3-2 on the shift instead of 3-4. And I thought I left part of the engine on that middle straight. I never thought the car would run the rest of the way. And that dropped me back like 7th or 8th, and the car was good. I just kept kind of picking people off one at a time, and then I found myself stuck in about 3rd or 4th or 2nd to 4th, and every time I'd get ready to go, I was behind Craig, and it just seemed like somebody would push somebody else, and then 3 cars would go blowing by, and then I had to catch back up. And I said it on the podium, my biggest regret is one of my best friends in life, in and out of racing, is Eric Stearns, and I went down to 2nd into 5, and the car got real squirrely, and I just touched him enough to get him out of shape, and then he put the car off in 6. So, I mean, I'm just sick. So it's a little bit shallow as far as that goes, because you never want to see that happen to anyone, let alone one of your best friends. So I've got a lot of apologizing to for that. I'm sure he's upset, and he's got every right to be upset. On the last lap, it was crazy. All I could do was pray that it was the last lap. I did have a very good last lap. Elevon was behind me, and he pushed me past Voytek, and then he drafted past me down into 5, and I did the over-under on him and got back ahead of him at 6. And I don't know where, but I think he drove a little wide somewhere, and then Voytek got around him. And then I really thought going into the carousel that I'd have to mess up to lose the race. And God, I could see Voytek and those guys. I don't know what happened, but I said, man, they're going to catch me. I didn't think it was possible, and then they kept coming, so I just drove down the inside of the track, and then Voytek was close at 14, but I was able to, get it up the front straight and win. And I echo what these guys say. I was fortunate enough to win, but God, there's 15 guys that could have won this race, and any one of these guys could have won. It just worked out. I think everybody tried to be fair. With the fear, all of us have raised here enough, and I think everyone was the mindset. You need to get to the front fast because this race could be over any lap after lap 7. So I don't think that people were given as many passes as they normal would. I don't think anyone tried to intentionally race anyone harder, but the reality of the situation was that if you were behind on lap 6 and that somebody put the thing off in the kink, that race was going to be over. So I think the race was kind of like Bill Francis, you didn't have to tell anybody to try. I think everybody was trying every lap, every corner. So it worked well, and I echo what Danny said also about my wife. My wife has been so supportive. My kids, she was set to have knee surgery a week and a half ago, and they pushed it up, so she's home nursing her knee, and I'm sure she was probably a nervous wreck watching that race. I don't know what that race looked like from the outside, but I got to tell you that from the inside, I can only imagine it had to be one of the best races in a long time to watch.
It's
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm not sure if you noticed, but behind us, going through the kink, I think with 2 laps to go, 2 people went off through the kink and banged down the wall, and I thought that they were going to go full course yellow, and I thought I was done back there, and somehow they got them out, and SCCA let us finish the race under greener. That was fantastic. Yeah.
I tried to flip that mirror over.
Yeah, Bender and Brown were the ones that got into that, so they were in that front pack too.
And also, one of my other best friends, Craig Berry, he had the car to beat. He was leading comfortably, and then, he's saying on the radio for 5 or 6 laps. All of our 99 Miatas have a fatal problem where they have a wiring harness issue will go bad, or a crank trigger gets out of alignment, and they just start to pop, under high RPM. And you hear that, and it's terrible. I mean, it's sickening. I've had it happen to me once or twice, and it's just all these rumbles and stuff. That little sensor just gets out of adjustment, and it's just nothing you can do.
Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. When you've got 70 cars, it doesn't hurt to have a couple of buddies out there, and it looked from where we were at, it looked like, and these guys were still working their way up, but because it was so aggressive, if you got in front, at least for a little while, you could get some breathing room because 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th and 9th were passing each other, and to have that buddy when you got down to the end and you were it was one on one. That made you a little nervous.
Last year, where our team guys were all together, even though Craig was at the front and I was at the front, I don't think we were ever even close. Eric and I were for a little while, but it was pretty much every man for himself from lap 1. For the most part, it was full on go to the front and go for broke.
Well, congratulations. Questions for these guys?
No questions. You guys have answered everything. I was wondering what happened to Craig's car, but just well done, Jim.
I would also just like to make a quick shout out to young Joey Jordan, who made the trip from California, has never really, his first time on this track, rented Tom Fowler's OPM rental car, and was right up very close to I don't know where he finished, but I'm guessing 6th place, and I think he had the 2nd fastest race lap in a rental car in an 01, which is traditionally not a really particularly fast car at this track. But this is a kid on his way. You can tell, and I had the privilege of being in the same trailer with him, and just looking at his data and the way that he picked it up session after session. This is a kid to pay attention to. He's got it in his hands, but more than that, he's got it in his head. This is a 18 or 19-year-old kid with the maturity, and I hope Mazda pays attention, because this guy can wheel a car, and with the right equipment, I think that he could have been on the podium today.
Are any of you guys going to go to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca next year?
Nobody wants to show their hand right now.